All right, good morning, everybody. This is Brennan McLaughlin. I'm Education Counsel at PLRB, and I'm glad to welcome all you folks to this webinar on PLRB property services and resources. We'll also be going over some weather stuff as well. So we have here with us this morning David Fox, who is Property Coverage Counsel. He answers your questions when you call or type in your coverage questions there. And he also is one of the two people who run the yearly or maybe more than yearly search classes. So he's a pro in both property coverage issues and our systems here in search. So he's going to run through a hypothetical with you to show you some of our services, and he'll be going over some weather stuff and building codes as well. We also have with us Andrew Lucius, who's a geospatial specialist here, working on the weather side, getting some really cool weather web apps and things like that going. Does a lot of stuff I don't understand, but it's all very cool. So yeah, we're excited to share with you what we have to share here, and also to hear from you and how we can help. So at this point, I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Brennan. Welcome. My name is David Fox. I'm one of the coverage attorneys on the first party property side of the office. Some quick background. PLRB is a nonprofit organization, and PLRB membership is on a flat fee basis. There's no additional charges for anything that you use here on the website. This means that increased usage of our services will not increase your company's dues. So you should feel comfortable using our products and services as much as you'd like without any concern that your usage will somehow cost your company any more money. And the website's available 24/7. We access PLRB at plrb.org, and the home screen is what should be showing right now. You access it, you have a password, you sign up uh, with your company email. It doesn't recognize your personal Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, things like that. And we see a lot of people first get into the website by looking at the property legal updates and the liability legal updates that are on the homepage, or if you subscribe to Frontlines, comes out each Wednesday. So today we're going to look at a fact situation and then use the website to find some answers. So our fact situation is the policyholder claims her home in Winnebago, Illinois was damaged in a hailstorm on April 7th, 2020. The adjuster estimates the cost to repair the damage, including damage to the roof, was $10,278 if an ice barrier is required, but no drip edge. This includes both labor and materials. The insurer deducted depreciation of $3,043 and a deductible of $500, arriving at a total actual cash value payment of $6,743. The depreciation was applied to the cost of labor, materials, and sales tax on the materials. So the first thing we might be looking at when the adjuster is thinking about going out is, was there a hailstorm? I don't quite remember about April 7th. Maybe the adjuster isn't from the area. They're being sent in to adjust something. So we want to check first. And we're here at the home page and we see these tabs across the top. We're generally going to be using those today. So we see this weather cats tab, and we're going to hover over that. And we get a drop-down menu, weather research, and I'm going to go over to historical database. And that should open up. And we're going to be put in the beginning date. The insured said this happened on April 7th, 2020. And so we're going to go ahead and fill that in. Now, sometimes I know that insureds will say it happened the week of. So we could put in a date range. I know that too big of a date range, like the whole year, is too much. It'll be churning through too much information. So this insured was pretty exact on their date range. So we're going to put the beginning date and ending date the same. The peril, they said, was hail. We're going to click on that. The state was Illinois. We have a drop-down menu for that. And now there's a number of other boxes. And one of the takeaways that I want you to have today is that you don't always have to fill in every box. And I'm going to go ahead here and fill in 61089. And I'm going to hit submit search. And here I see, oh, there's no data. So I'm going to go back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this zip code and hit submit search. And I see that here we do see that on uh, April 7th, 2020, there was hail reported in Winnebago, Illinois, and I see that the zip code was 61088. So it just depends where the reporting occurred. So it was pretty specific. Another way, and I can see here that there was hail reported, 3-inch hail. I think that must be pretty big. Damage to siding and cars from hail. So I'm just going to go back here for a minute. And if I had gotten nothing there, I might have taken out the city and hit submit search in Illinois on that particular date. And you can see that there appears to be hail in the state of Illinois on that date. I'll go down here and I'll see that the Winnebago was listed there. So just that idea under weather cats, weather research, we went to historical database. Later on, when Andrew comes on, he's going to talk a little bit more about the app, the lightning probability that we have, and some other things there. One thing that I will mention under weather cats, and you'll see this under various other places, that we have ask a weather cats question, so that if you want our weather cats department to do the particular research on a particular area, you can ask them to do that for you. I'll go ahead and click on that. And you can see the information comes up. First, your contact information comes up. We asked you to check that. Sometimes we want to get back to you. And then you have some information to fill out here, and the Weather Cats team will do that search for you. So we see that there was hail in the area. So now when our adjuster goes out, it's like, okay, there was hail. Still probably want to look at the roof and see if there actually was hail, or if this person did something like took a hammer and just pounded into the roof. The next thing we're going to look at is he came out with some figures, and he said if an ice barrier is required but no drip edge. So now we're wondering what the building codes have to say. So we'll go ahead here. I'll click on the home page. We'll start at the home page, and we see here we have another tab, coverage research, and we see a number of things, and one of them here is building codes. So I'm going to click on that. There's a number of ways to get into building codes, and we can see here we can do a word search. I'm going to click on that, PLRB search. And I'm typing such things in as Winnebago, Illinois, building code, and I'm going to click find code. Now, building codes is relatively new. Not all building codes are in the system yet, so just be aware of that. And we see a number of things here, and I see Winnebago, Illinois. This is in our Coveo research. We'll click on that, and we'll page down a little bit, and we see here, it looks like that ice barriers are required for Winnebago, and actually drip edges are also required for Winnebago. So our adjuster might need to recalibrate his figures here because he initially looked at no drip edge was required. Another way is alphabetical. I'll click on that, and we can see all the states. We'll click on Illinois, and then we see the various cities, and we'll come down to Winnebago and click on that, and we get the same information. So just sort of that idea, there's always a couple of different ways to go in and get the information. And here again, at building codes, we see ask PLRB. So sometimes when you do a search, you'll get something that we don't have information yet. We may have put all of the states in. We may have put all the cities in. And when you click on in some information, you'll find that we don't have that information yet. And so again, you can click on Ask PLRB, and it will come up, and you'll fill out some information, and our building codes department will go and search on that for you. So know that we have that there. So now we see, okay, there was hail. We found the building codes. We needed the drip edge and the ice barrier. And so now we're looking at the policyholder has challenged the insured's practice of applying depreciation to labor costs, contending labor costs can't be depreciated because labor costs don't depreciate in value, is what this insured said. So we want to see, may depreciation of labor be taken in Illinois? And so again, we're back on the home page. We see coverage research. The old way was PLRB search. Our new way is PLRB search powered by Coveo. We're going to click on that. And what comes up is a box here, and we see some things, depreciation of labor. And I'll go ahead and click on that. And there's a number of hits here, but we see over here on the left-hand side, there are various things that we can click on. And there are various types of documents. And we can see there are annotations, there are coverage questions, there are Q&As. And so here I'm going to click on HO annotations, homeowners annotations. And I'm going to click on this. This happened to be a homeowner. Could have clicked on business owners, commercial policy annotations. We'll just go ahead and click on that. What comes up is our annotation dealing with this particular section of the policy. There's a little in brief talking about it at first. There's a table of contents. We'll page down just a little bit here, and we see a box. The box is the ISO policy wording that might deal with this particular section. We try to put in the most recent ISO policy language. You'll see if you go down a little bit after the annotation, we have a summary of changes from one ISO policy form to another to see if things have changed. So this is a general discussion on the particular topic. We might want to do a search within. So we'll hit Control F, a little box comes up, and I'll just put in the word labor. And you can see here that depreciation of labor. I can look there. This is a section. So remember when we saw the home page, or I mentioned in the front lines, the new case law that comes out each week. On Thursday, then, we have an attorney working the case law back in to these various annotations and documents. And we'll just randomly click on one of the cases, and you can see, just so you can see how they're set up, they start with an in brief. That's basically what the court setter did, dealing with the insurance issue. The facts, the policy language, we're always looking at policy language to see whether something is covered or not covered under the policy. Typically the lower court holding, and then what this court held. Then you can see this section that says comments. Everything above comments is solely what the court setter did. The comments section is where the law review attorney has written something up. They might call your attention to some other case law, some changes in case law. They might link you out to the annotation, and you can see that annotation. So we'll go back here to the annotation for just a minute, go back to the top, and we can see that this annotation, it was a homeowner's policy annotation, actual cash value loss settlement, and it says HO 9495. I have some people that say, well, I have an HO3 policy. Well, that HO 9495 is just PLRB's chapter or key number, so don't worry about that. Most of these are HO3 policies. Sometimes they're manuscript policies that companies have. And so that's where we say sometimes take a look at the policy language and your policy language to maybe see what's different. So now we're going to go back here for just a minute, back to our results. And we saw that one of the other things here is state by state. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to go down and look. What we're looking for is Illinois. I'm going to click on that. So now I'm limiting my results. We did that broad search on depreciation of labor. We limited it to the state by state documents and more specifically Illinois. And here there's a state by state dealing with depreciation of labor. So I'm going to click on that. Well, let me go back for just a minute. There's two ways to look at it. We clicked on it before. There's this little eye here. If I click on that, it opens up and the search terms, the terms that we searched on are highlighted. So we could go down in the document where these search terms are by clicking on that. There's also here this section, may depreciation of labor be taken. So we see here this section and it says arguably yes by this case. And we look down and we see this case and it happens to have dealt with sales taxes and depreciation of sales taxes were allowed. And so we can see that our thinking is an Illinois court then probably would also depreciate overhead and profit and potentially labor. We're not aware of any case law, particularly on depreciation of labor. On the first party property side, there's a lot less case law than on the liability auto side. So our database has the majority of first party property cases that we're able to find. The liability auto side can't have all of the case law there, so just be aware of that. So we've done this search. We think that depreciation of labor is probably allowed by that G case. So now we're coming along and the insured wants to assign their insurance benefits over to the contractor. And so now we want to see, is assignment of benefits allowed in Illinois? So again, we're at the home page, coverage research, PLRB search powered by Coveo. And we're going to go in here. I've already typed in assignment of benefits. And I like that idea that we found that we see there's various types of documents. Looks like there's 282 cases. There's a state by state. Oh, I really like that. There's some annotations. I could go into the annotations, but let's go along here and click on search Illinois like that. I see there's maybe 8 cases, but they might just be grouped in the state by state. And so I'll click on that and assignment of post-loss benefits in Illinois. And we see some case law here on assignment of benefits. And we say we have found authority in Illinois, which adopts the majority of view, allowing assignment of post-loss benefits. So it looks like they can do that in Illinois. Let's just go back for a minute and unclick Illinois and click on Florida for a minute and go to Florida's assignment of post-loss benefits. And here in Florida, we can see there's statutes on this and there's a lot more cases. There's a lot more cases going on in Florida. It seems to be a hot topic in Florida. So you can see that these state by states are great when there have been about 10 or more cases or states that have cases on a particular topic. we've done these state by states. So we like the annotations because they talk a lot about the law and the area. We gather the case law from all of the states that we're aware of, but the state by state really drills down to the particular state. So now one thing, what if the adjuster determined that the hail caused some denting that he considered to be minor, cosmetic changes that didn't affect the performance of the roof, their life expectancy, or ability to resist corrosion? Furthermore, the denting was not visible from the ground level, and we want to see if there's a case for coverage. So we are going to go back to the home page, coverage research, PLRB search powered by Caveo, and we talk in terms, and you can see that I did a search: direct physical loss, hail, or cosmetic. And again, we see the various collection types. And one of the things that I just want to mention, you can see one of the first things that happened to come up is a coverage question. And that's the first thing. So coverage questions, that's another type of document in the database. And so coverage questions are submitted to the attorneys. We do some research on it. And the thought is possibly somebody else might have the same question. We did the research, so let's capture it in the database. We scrub out any information about your particular company. Here we just say that it was a manuscript commercial form, and then we have the information. So know that that type of document is in there too. We see annotations. So let's click on that, and there's a coverage document. Now we see here, this happens to be dealing with section C, or coverage C, I'm sorry, in the document, and we think of personal property, but this is a roof. But the types of information might be here, and we can see here there's a whole section on physical and what is considered physical in a particular property. So that's where we'll sometimes look at a couple of different things. So in the annotations, it happened to be coverage C section, but that's where I say on the first party property side, there's not as much case law, so we might have to look at various things, other things. In the BPCP annotations, there's a section just on direct physical loss. I'm gonna click on that. It'll open up, and physical is defined, and you'll probably see this is the same material that's there. So we're gonna use whatever we have to try to figure out whether a loss is covered or not. Okay, so coverage research. We looked at that, and I mentioned those state by states that we have. So another way to get to the state by states is we're on the home page, coverage research, state annotations. I'm gonna click on that. Here we see all 50 states. We can either click on the state here, we can click on the map. I clicked on Florida, and we can see the various topics that we have state by states on. I'll just click for a minute on matching issues. We'll see what comes up. And here's the information that we have, the case law that we've gathered on the particular topic for the particular state. So know that that's there. We have that drop-down menu. Okay, let's go back for a minute. And when we're in search, we see also at the top of the page, there's that state annotations. I could have clicked on that. So you're doing some searching and you can't find anything. So again, just like with WeatherCats, with building codes, we can ask a coverage question to the PLRB attorneys here. This is where we say there's sort of two sides of the office. There's the first party property side that I mentioned that I'm on, and there's a liability auto side. And this sort of reminds you like, oh, where does my question fall? We click on that. Again, your contact information comes up. Sometimes a phone number changes or something like that. We click yes. And then what comes down is you can choose a policy form. Basically, the drop-down menu are the general ISO policy forms. So you can click on that. If it's not one of those, you can see here, attach a policy. So your company may have submitted some of their policies. And if they did, it's associated again with your log on, and your password is associated with your company email. So if they have, you would see a drop-down menu here. If none of those apply, enter a policy number. You could type in Elite 2, state of loss. That's where the loss occurred. We're always going to look for case law from the state wherever the loss occurred, because that has precedent over anything else. As I mentioned, on the first party property side, there's not as much case law, so we'll look for case law from your state first. If there's nothing, we'll look for case law from other states, just to see maybe how a judge might look at something. And we know that if it goes to trial, both sides are going to have that case law from the other states too. The specific policy language. You're looking at something and trying to decide whether there's coverage or not under the policy. You can copy and paste the section you're looking at. Might be the water damage exclusion. Then the relevant facts. It rained out in the field, the water ran across the land, ran down the stairs in front of the insured's basement. The drain in front of the basement was covered by corn husks. It was blocked. The water couldn't run down the basement. The water ran underneath the door and flooded the insured's basement. The question might be, does the water damage exclusion apply? Does the natural source rule apply in Florida? What was a question that we used to get. You hit submit. You'll get the information back of the attorney to whom the question has been assigned. Again, with all of these, we say that we'll get back to you within 5 business days. Now, if I get the question, is a raccoon a rodent? That used to be a frequent question. I know right where that is in the database. Hopefully I can get that back to you in the same day, because I know right where that is. So it just depends whether I see your email or not. So one other thing here, we're in Coveo, we're doing that search, and table of contents. Table of contents, you can walk down and look at things. So here I'll just click on HO annotations, homeowners policy annotations, and forms. It's going to be here in the CP annotations also. There's a forms section, and I'm going to look down for the HO3 form. That's the typical ISO form. And we can see there's a number of these here. The most recent one is the 0511 form. And so here is the ISO form. And here again, the hyperlinks out with the PLRB chapter or key number will get you to the annotation, those annotations that we looked at. So here we're just sort of looking down. So some people really like to just look at the policy. They have the policy in front of them. They're trying to figure out whether something's covered or not. Here we'll click on animals, birds, or fish, and we get to the annotation. And so just another way of getting into the system. So click on that table of contents again for a minute. The first time we clicked on the table of contents, we see a couple of things here. And what I'm going towards is the tips for the PLRB website. I'm going to click on that. Tips. This gives a lot of the information that we're going over today. The PLRB search powered by Coveo. We didn't use an asterisk. Sometimes if you start typing something, you can use an asterisk as a term expander. You can search for a phrase by using quotes. We talk about state-by-state charts. We talk about the annotations. We see here there's information on some of the weather cats information and on building codes. So just know that that tips document is there. So we're going to go back here. Oh, I wanted to go back to the home page. So we've been using coverage research. We've gone to PLRB search powered by Coveo. We've asked a coverage question. We looked at state annotations. We've looked at building codes. We've looked at weather cats. In just a minute, Andrew's going to go a little bit more into that. One of the other things here is we have education and we have modules here. Some people need CE credit, and we had to cancel our claims conference in March that people would have gotten a lot of CE credit if we had been able to hold that and people would have been able to attend that. So people are looking for various ways to get CE credit. So know that we have that on the website. There's a number of topics. You launch the module. They're in 5 or 6 sections. There's a little test that you have to pass to get onto the next section. So they really want you to listen to the section. And then at the end, you fill in your licensing information. It generally goes to Heather back in the office, and she'll submit that information. So know that we have that there under education. There are also webinars that we have, and as I mentioned, meetings. So now we're going to be switching over to Andrew, and he's going to go a little bit more into some of the weather information.
So first I wanted to build on David's hail search example by doing the same search on our hail research web app. And it has a couple more data sets to it that may be helpful to you. So first I'm going to go to weather cats and then weather research. Then I can go to hail web app. And it has a little splash screen here. You can click OK. So over here in the top right, I'm going to go ahead and enter an address. In this case, I'll just use the same address of Winnebago, Illinois. You can enter a specific address if you'd like as well. So that will zoom to the area. And then over here on the left, I'm going to filter my date range search and just do 4/7 to 4/7. And then when I click apply, that will filter all of these operational layers over here on the right by date. And it will also automatically turn on the hail reports map service. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So as you can see, there's a hail report very close to the address in question. So here we see, again, it's the same hail report that David showed, 3-inch hail, damage to siding and cars. So close that. And then I also wanted to show the Nextrat hail size estimates. So this is useful for when limited amounts of hail spotter reports are available. And it's only considered approximate. It's possible hail may have fallen outside of the polygon areas. And this is based off of radar data. So here we can see the polygon shadings. You can click on an area. So here we can see maximum hail size estimate was considered to be about 1.5 inch. It's not always going to match the hail spotter report. Again, it's really just a general approximation tool. And if we zoom out a little bit, we can kind of see the extent of the hail streaks. And this layer is nice because it gives you some more information in between hail spotter reports. So for example, in this area on the county lines, you might expect to see 2.5 inch hail, about that. And then one more layer we have on this web app are severe thunderstorm warnings. So this will display all of the severe thunderstorm warnings for that particular day of April 7th. And you can click on, let's say, this polygon where the address was located. And here we can see there's a severe thunderstorm warning from 7 to 8 p.m. You can click on this link here, and that will open up a link to Iowa Environmental Mesonet, and they actually archive all of the raw text products from the National Weather Service. So this is the original text of the warning, and you can just read through that at your leisure if you'd like. Location information, hazard, source, potential impact. Here we see hail damage was expected. So go ahead and close that. So next I'll go to our wind tornado research web app and do a quick demo there. Now, all of our web apps are pretty similar. They have the same kind of look and feel to it. Again, I'll go ahead and click on OK. In this case, I'll do Shreveport, Louisiana. And then over here, I'll do January 11th. And I'll just do January 12th as the end date. And then click Apply. So I can go ahead and close this filter tool now. And as you can see over here on the right, we have several layers, wind spotter reports, tornado spotter reports, damage assessment surveys from the National Weather Service. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You can click on a wind report. Here we see 60-mile-per-hour gust. And then these damage assessment surveys. So whenever wind damage from possible tornado or severe thunderstorm is reported to the National Weather Service, they will send out a damage assessment survey team tasked with surveying the damage to determine if it was caused by tornado or straight line wind. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So here we have the polygon. I'm going to turn off the line just for a second. The polygon is nice because it gives you a better idea of the width of the tornado. And also we include any damage assessment survey points. So these points represent individual structures that were damaged. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit and click on one of these. So here we can see the storm date, survey date, type of structure, and damage associated with the structure, the EF scale. Oftentimes they'll include a link to a photo that they take out in the field. So I'll go ahead and click on that. So there we can see the destroyed structure. And these surveys are typically done within a day or two after the storm. We also have weather observation station data. So we archive data from stations, most of them at airports, about 1,200 airports across the US. So let's say I can click on this Shreveport Regional Airport data point. So that will give me information like the highest wind gust of the day in miles per hour, the highest sustained wind speed, and then any precipitation, snowfall, high and low temperatures. And then all of our web apps have this attribute table widget, which is in the bottom center of the screen. So I can click on that. And here we can see all of the data on the map in a tabular format. So if I want to see all the weather observation station data, I can go ahead and click on that tab. If you'd like, you can click on options and export this data to a CSV file. And that will allow you to open it in in Microsoft Excel or a Notepad document. And all this data is available as map services from PLRB. The damage assessment surveys are coming from the National Weather Service, however. So next, I'll go back to our WeatherCat section and then go to weather research again, and then click on lightning. So this is probably one of our most popular searches for lightning information. So this is a pretty easy search. Just enter an address, and it's nice because it has suggestions here, so you can just click on the suggestion. And I'm gonna go ahead and enter the date of January 11th, and then click on search. So here we see it retrieves the highest lightning probability of the day as a percentage of 100%. So for many years, we've been archiving these lightning probability forecasts, and they're updated hourly. And we actually aggregate the hourly forecasts into a highest lightning probability of the day. So that's what you're seeing there. And then just this past January, we began archiving general areas of lightning detected by satellite. So this instrument is called the Geostationary Lightning Mapper, and it's coming from the GOES-R satellite. It detects lightning at the tops of clouds 24/7, both cloud to cloud and cloud to ground lightning. It cannot distinguish between the two, however. And then the resolution can range from a few square kilometers to much more. So that's why we say it's considered a general area of lightning. It won't have pinpoint accuracy. So we feel these two data sets can help claims departments quickly see if a lightning existed in the area of a claimant. And then here we have lightning detected by satellite during the 1 hour period beginning, and it will also automatically turn on the hail reports map service. So that's all the demo searches I had for now.
The only thing is, Andrew, do you want, because I think your screen is being shared, do you want to just show the threats assessments?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, this is one of the email alerts we send out each morning. Peter usually writes it. And we just kind of have a headline here on current threats. And then we include some images from the National Weather Service on potential severe weather outlooks for the current day, as well as the next few days. And then we have some tabs over here for specific threats. If there's any tropical weather threats or major snowstorms or ice storms, we'll usually include that in the headline and add any other maps as well. So.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for sharing that information about PLRB weather services, and thanks also to David for sharing that great information on PLRB search. If you'd like to know more about PLRB services, please check out plrb.org. Thank you.